Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all. This movie is a horror film from the United States, English language, released in the year 2024, directed by Damien Leone, and this film is called Terrifier 3. So Terrifier 3 takes place at Christmas. We have this woman who is trying to get on with her life. She's had a traumatic past, but unfortunately the events from her past are going to haunt her this Christmas because a terrifying clown named Art is about to unleash havoc. So what that havoc is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Terrifier 3. I'm actually quite a big fan of the Terrifier series. Even though they're not great films, they are very, very entertaining, and the gore is absolutely phenomenal. So if you go into these movies expecting a gore fest, you're going to like what you get. So the first movie was very low budget, but the gore and how far they actually went with the kills was the most impressive part. And that movie, I gave it a pretty bad score, and I still stand by that score, but the movie has grown on me. So I'm going to remain, with that particular score of, I think it was 1.5 stars, but it has grown on me in the past, but I don't change my scores. And so, yes, that first movie, I was looking at it in a different way. Coming back and having a replay of the first film, I actually took it a lot less serious, and I got a little bit more out of it. And so the first movie really set the scene as far as Art the Clown. Art the Clown is this villain. He's a maniacal sort of maniac clown, and he's absolutely fantastic. He's really, really funny. He's an iconic horror villain. And to say an iconic horror villain in modern horror is definitely few and far between. So whenever we get a horror icon, especially something like Art the Clown, it is definitely welcome. And so it coming from the first movie, I heard that there was going to be a second film, and I didn't really know what that was going to be about. And so that second movie had a bigger budget, and I actually thought as though it was a lot better. I actually enjoyed it. And so it's not a great film, but it was very, very nasty. And so Art the Clown, once again, is possessing his same sense of humour, laughing at really, really ghastly things. And so that was offensive, and I loved every minute of it. And so coming into number 3, I didn't know how far they could go as far as, evolving this story. It's not exactly eye-catching. It's not something you go into a Terrifier film for, the story. And so what were they going to produce in number 3? So I've heard a lot of reports of people leaving the cinema because this movie is so violent, and so that was the reason why I wanted to see it. And also I'm a massive fan of Art the Clown, so what was he going to do in this movie? And I will say that this movie really ups the ante as far as offensive quality is concerned. So this is a film that does take very taboo subjects and it just punches it in the stomach. So it doesn't make any apologies, and that's what I really appreciate about this movie. It wasn't afraid to stick its middle finger up at the general crowd, and it wasn't afraid to just make a movie for particular horror fans as extreme horror fans. And so that's something I always like when directors make movies for particular people instead of a general audience. So it's sticking its finger up at the PC crowd, it's making no apologies for it, and it's having a lot of fun. And fun is definitely something that I had with this movie. The movie does have issues. I don't believe it's as good as number 2 for reasons I'll go into a little bit later, but what I liked about this film is, number 1, Art the Clown is fantastic. Number 2, the gore effects are absolutely sensational. There's a lot more money put into this movie, and it's evident because the gore is really, really hard hitting. It's very, very you flinch a lot at actually what goes on. There are particular scenes that really stand out in the memory, and there's the system that this movie has is that one particular scene might be gory, then the other scene outdoes it, and then the next horror scene outdoes the last one. And so it's kind of like trying to outdo each other as the movie goes along, and so you're never quite sure how far Damien Leone is prepared to go. And so this is a film that is very, very extreme, so be very, very careful. If you're easily offended, do not go anywhere near Terrifier, any of the films, but particularly number 3, because this is by far the most extreme. And that's saying something, because number 1 and 2 were very extreme, but this film, it just tends to really push the bar as far as your capabilities are concerned. It's an endurance test, and it's just a fountain of blood, a lot of gore, and a lot of funny antics from Art the Clown. And so Art the Clown will stand the test of time as being one of the most iconic horror villains, and I'm so glad that Damien Leone come up with this character, because it's definitely what the horror genre needed. So it's popcorn horror, but popcorn horror of the most extreme kind. So again, be very, very careful. So there were some scenes that I was just laughing out loud. They're very, very horrible things. It's basically hatred against humanity, but it's done in a way that is lighthearted. It's kind of like a slasher film. It's a different type of slasher film, but it goes by the same premise that it's all about fun. It's not about disturbing you to no end. Although, as I said, if you're not a fan of extreme cinema and you're not aware of what the Terrifier series brings, you're going to find this movie really, really hard to watch. Unfortunately, the biggest issue I had with this movie is that it is a little bit too long. Now, that's the issue I had with Terrifier 2, that it was a lot better than the first one, but it was a little bit too long for its own good. It's a very fun film, and it would have been better if it was over in 90 minutes. But this movie, like the second film, goes for 2 hours, and unfortunately it outstays its welcome, because when you're hit with all this gore, eventually it does become a little bit tiresome, and I kept feeling as though this was like a collage of violent visuals. And so it was just a collection of your demonstration of really good gore effects, demonstration of really good kills, and that was it basically, because the story isn't very strong. And so for a 2-hour film, you need a story that does possess a lot more substance, whereas the second movie, although it outstayed its welcome, that story was actually pretty decent. But this movie, it just felt like it was doing violence for the sake of violence, and it was just trying, one particular scene was trying to outdo the previous scene. And so it does get lost in all of its carnage to some degree, and unfortunately I just came away feeling as though it was slightly more empty than the second film. The second film definitely stands as the best. The first one was decent, second one is the best, and unfortunately the third one goes back down. So if form stays true, then the next one's going to go up, because there is a Terrifier 4. But I was just a little bit disappointed in the fact that it didn't have too much more going for it. But this is where it bills itself as a really, really gory horror film, and so for that I can't criticise it too much. So if it sounds like your kind of thing, go out there and see it, but be very, very careful. This is very extreme, extremely graphic, and very offensive, and for that I really liked it. I'm going to give Terrifier 3 2.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.